Today we're continuing the series of Traveling Worlds with Jin Mori's Strength, Season 2. So today we continue we continue 3 months later. When Jin Mori is facing Luffy. In these 3 months, Jin Mori has unlocked some new powers. More specifically, he has unlocked I was just thinking about what he would unlock. So, this is from me personally. I might do an anime about this. But he unlocked... Actually, never mind. Let's just say he just unlocked magic. What magic? I'm not going to tell you yet. Anyway, starting off from the battle, Katsuo is just blitzing at Luffy, punching him in the stomach. However, as soon as he does that, Luffy's stomach stretches out because it's made out of rubber. Finally remembering it, he goes back quite a few meters by jumping. Now knowing that physical attacks won't work, he then uses his ki, Dragon Ball Ki, engulfing his hand in a blue light energy. He then sends it as multiple projectiles that are in the forms of fists. A barrage. Luffy practically copies this technique, but with haki. With both of them being equal, Katsuo jumps up in the air and activates his... So we're going to be calling them sacreds. So remember the power system that the monsters had? You saw them in Season 1 and Season 2. They died in Season 2. Might see them again. We're going to be calling the weapons they used sacreds. Of course, I'm not going to explain the whole entire power system until we get there again. After that, he activates his sacred, summoning a white blade with a crimson red aura surrounding it. He then slashes it, creating a massive shockwave. Zoro, watching the battle, notes that he has unlocked some true potential thanks to Katsuo's immense and hard training. Now with this, he can imbue his 3 swords with Conqueror's haki. And his physical strength, all in general, has just gotten way stronger thanks to his training. However, back to Katsuo's POV. Katsuo, after summoning his sacred and slashing at Luffy, Luffy activates his observation haki and combines it with Conqueror's haki to create something that's like laser eyes, except with haki. Countering the massive shockwave that was in the form of a blade slash. He then activates Beautiful Tankman. So, just so you know, Tankman never actually got its true form showed. It only had a variant showed. That's it. So, of course, I can't show you it. And to be honest, I don't really know what it would look like either. But you just gotta deal with that. After punching him multiple times and realizing that is not doing enough, Luffy then activates his Gear of Flavor. And then activates his newest move, Genesis Deity Slam. Launching his arm into the air and then imbuing it after puffing it up, making it the size of like a few meteors, and putting hockey onto it. Well, instead of it being its normal red aura color with them using Rio, instead it turns into a white form. This is his new hockey. Katsuo has also learned this technique as well, doing the same thing. This is called Zekai. He does this with it having a blue aura and Luffy's having a red one. And both of the attacks collide. However, Katsuo is not done, as he forcefully activates his Nirvana form for half a second after the collision of Haki, appearing in front of Luffy. However, that's all he can do for his Nirvana time limit. Using almost all of his energy with his Nirvana form, he kicks Luffy down to the ground, with his body also entangling in different ways because of his Gomu Gomu no Mi or Nika Nika no Mi. Luffy, still being in his Gear 5, uses an advanced version. Gear Emperor 5. His white hair growing way longer, having epic drippy clothes. Listen, we really just a kimono. And his X-Scar turns white. He's doing this all while releasing crimson flames constantly from his body. He then uses Sun God's Dominion. Suddenly, a domain appeared, with everyone being encased in it. Luffy now uses his elemental control to create water, fire, and lightning all in one singular blast. However, Katsuo also having elemental control instead uses wind, darkness, and light. Both colliding, Luffy says out loud that should be the end of the battle, and Katsuo agrees. However, Katsuo wants to show Luffy one more ability. Buddha Wuka! Suddenly, a red loop of binding appears on his head. However, it expands, and the front of the loop of binding turns into a crimson red color, different from its normal light red color, and the back of it turns black. And his hair starts growing ferociously, getting all the way down to his thighs, with the top of his hair being crimson red and the bottom of it being black. Also, remember, it goes out. He can only use his form for half a second right now. But while he is in this half a second, he is quite literally God. Suddenly, a big hole in the domain, which destroyed it, was made. Everyone is questioning, how did he just do that? Luffy's domain is practically indestructible. And after doing this, his transformation subsides and he passes out after using it. Buddha Wukong is currently his strongest form and will probably be his strongest form for the rest of the series. So you're definitely going to see it quite a few times when he's battling opponents stronger than himself. But you're probably going to see more Nirvana. That's his second strongest form. Thing is, he wasn't even adding power to that massive kick in the sky, which released all of it. It didn't even have hockey, and it destroyed the domain. The kick literally split the sky. And thing is, if my guy put that power into his staff and then released it with ki and practically any power source he has, it would be destructive. And by destructive, I mean destructive. Currently, they were battling in an old Colosseum. However, if he did do that, it would probably destroy the whole place. And if he didn't launch that kick towards the sky, the whole arena would be destroyed. And the group of binding disappears, and his hair turns back to normal with him passing out. And 2 days later, he wakes up. And when he gets outside, he sees Luffy and everyone being quite surprised. And after that, he looks around. They're covered by marine ships. You see, a marine bird's eye really caught them with Katsuo. Katsuo in the world is currently the person with the most bounty, having 11 million. Yes, 11 million. 6 million than the Pirate King. He broke a record by 6 million. Now they're all surrounding the Straw Hats, since with the Straw Hats having Katsuo, and really any crew having Katsuo, it would be way too dangerous for the government to handle. And also, remember, when Katsuo kills someone important to the story and then leaves, that person will be revived and the story will continue. Meaning you can't kill the antagonist. And you can't kill the main character. However, if you save someone that's about to die, yeah, they will still be alive. They won't die. Which is why Ace is still alive. In fact, Ace is seen coming with a ship. After Luffy sees this, he doesn't waste any time into going into his Gear 2 mode. And after he sees Katsuo coming outside, he quickly states that they're coming for you! However, Luffy isn't actually bothered that much by it, since he's just gonna destroy them anyways, especially with Katsuo by his side. Also, any gear that would reset his life force now doesn't. So yeah, he can use Gear 2 practically infinitely. On the downsides, don't exist anymore. He's practically mastered his devil fruit. After that, he covers practically his whole entire body with haki. And you could see the Magma Admiral themselves, Akainu. So, of course, in Season 1, Akainu was dead since Katsuo killed him. However, like I said, anyone that's important to the story cannot be killed. However, you can change the story in some way if you do save someone that is important to the story. So yeah, Akainu is alive. So yeah, and the events where that Spanish person was killed, all he remembers is that in the war with thousands of millions of cannons and practically most of the entire Marines, Katsuo escaped while destroying the admirals. Kizaru also was in the top, and when he sees Katsuo and seeing that he's actually there, he claps his hand for the Marine bird who actually caught them, because now he gets to have his revenge, creating a spear made out of light and covering it with armament haki, and then doing that with his entire arm. He then creates multiple spears with armament haki on them and launches them to the ship. Katsuo, not letting this happen, immediately uses one of his renewal techniques. Original. Yes. In these 3 months, he has practically mastered, or at least got the hang of renewal taekwondo, having 60% of its full power being unlocked. Oh, sorry, it isn't origin, it's mastered renewal taekwondo. Recoilless kick is now supreme dragon kick. And suddenly, after kicking, a golden dragon appeared out of his leg, canceling out the attacks. Since the dragon was golden, Kizaru was wondering if he used his light power, thinking that shouldn't be possible since he already ate the light fruit. However, renewal taekwondo is way more secretive than you would know. Renewal taekwondo's final form, well, its true power is all based off of supernatural capabilities. This isn't coming from his son Wukong powers or any of his abilities, it's just renewal taekwondo itself. He then jumps up into the air and uses renewal taekwondo mastered Katsuo original Golden Dawn. And suddenly, after launching his foot into the air and bringing it down, golden lightning surrounds it. And when it crashes down onto the floor, it creates a tsunami. Also, if this ability was used on a flat surface or something, it would practically create a wave of golden energy. Which is also why the tsunami is golden. He then uses his renewal taekwondo support type master, water walking. He doesn't have chakra, but that doesn't mean it's impossible for him to walk on water. Like I said, renewal taekwondo is practically based off of supernatural capabilities. Also, just so you know, renewal taekwondo goes into 3 categories. The first category being renewal taekwondo mastered, the second one being renewal taekwondo support type mastered, and then we have renewal taekwondo deity type mastered. Renewal taekwondo, you probably wouldn't understand, but it's quite literally just, how do I say it? It's practically just the godlike version of support and power and normal renewal taekwondo. It also has defense moves and a lot more capabilities. So it's practically a fusion of normal renewal taekwondo mastered and support, and its support category. And quite a few others that will be unlocked later on so that you can have it in its single faction. Anyway, seeing him walk on water like Jesus, Kizaru is surprised, and a lot of the Marines are too. What technique is this? Jinbei, seeing this, knows that he isn't using water kung fu. So what is he doing? And after that, he thinks back to the time when he summoned fire on his legs. Sanji is also thinking of this moment at the Marineford War and is wondering what kind of overpowered fighting style this guy has. He then uses Renewal Taekwondo, Katsuo Original, mastered by the way, Majestic Silver Eagle. And suddenly he jumps into the air, creating an aura that surrounds him in the form of a silver phoenix. This silver phoenix, when he then kicks down, and then the silver phoenix follows, diving down, destroying one of the marine boats. And then and Katsuo has the ability to fly. Huh? Yeah, he has the ability to fly when he uses his technique. He then crushes multiple marine boats until Kizaru stops him by teleporting in front of him by turning into light. He can move at light speed, but Katsuo can do the same, moving out of his way. Akainu knows that his devil fruit is heavily unlikely to work in this area. Yes, it's one of the most overpowered devil fruits, but over water it's pretty useless. However, Akainu, trying to copy Katsuo, uses a technique, turning water into magma after jumping down. It was pretty risky, but other Marines were gonna save him anyways. After that, he creates magma on his left side and lava on his other. Magma is practically just hardened lava. He then turns them both into dragons and launches them at Katsuo, who is busy fighting with Kizaru. Katsuo, seeing this, immediately deactivates his Silver Eagle and activates Renewal Taekwondo, support type mastered. Dragonborn Barrier. Suddenly, multiple forms of barriers with multiple different colors surround him, being a rainbow of some sort, blocking Akainu's ability. Akainu was shocked. Jinbei and Sanji are the ones who were shocked the most, though. What kind of technique is he using? Sanji's technique is based off his Lunarian DNA, which his father forced into him. Jinbei's technique is controlling the water molecules in the air, but he's never seen a technique that has so many different forms. Renewal Taekwondo mastered, huh? Jinbei thinks that if he inputs this into his or Sanji's technique, then they would immediately get a huge power boost. However, Jinbei and Sanji, not wanting to just wait, immediately jump up. Sanji, in these 3 months, has obviously gotten a power boost and uses Saikanta, immediately covering his legs in black flames with the white aura, crushing multiple marine boats just by moving his legs in the form of cakes. Jinbei, now knowing how to freeze his water, forms all of the water molecules in the air and the water from the sea into a gigantic crystal of ice, launching it, with it splitting into more, all absorbing water from air and the sea, getting better. Multiple marine ships are, of course, destroyed. However, our guy Fujitora is saving every marine. Fujitora is using his gravity fruit to save everyone by making them so light that they can essentially fly. However, Fujitora is the one controlling it. Katsuo, finally noticing Fujitora, wonders blindness. He then walks up to Fujitora, most likely just jumping over there, and uses no Taekwondo, support type, Omni Healing. Suddenly, his hand goes on Fujitora's face, and Fujitora opens his eyes. He can see again. He's still focusing on supporting everyone, but he can see. He then finally gets to see Luffy in everyone's faces. Fujitora is surprised about what Katsuo did to him. However, right now they're in a battle. And Katsuo goes away by using his Renewal Taekwondo mastered technique, Thunder Implosion. By blowing up multiple electro pieces in his body, he can greatly increase his strength for a few minutes. Most notably his speed. Showing this while he jumps and releases fire from his back. Due to these explosions, he can create fire for a short amount of time. He then combines this with another technique called Renewal Taekwondo Mastered. Original Dragon. Suddenly, a purple dragon appears as an aura for his entire body, with him having 2 times the speed and power. He then goes up to multiple marine ships, expanding his dragon-like aura, destroying them and eating them. They're all contained into the back of the dragon trying to escape, but really there's no actual danger. After doing that, he disintegrates all of the ships that are in the dragon's tail, with the marines worrying if that will be their fate too. However, they're just floating in the aura. They have nothing to worry about. Katsuo won't just kill people mercilessly. That's their job after all. Kizaru, finally having enough, tells Fleet Admiral Akainu that they should fuse their Devil Fruit abilities, which Akainu agrees to. Suddenly, the Whitebeard pirates appear. The Whitebeards are dead. The Blackbeard pirate boat is seen near. Usopp, who is the only one to see the boat, immediately warns his captain, and Luffy launches towards them. Luffy, still not fully understanding the concept of his Devil Fruit, still thinks that it's a rubber fruit. Using his Gomu Gomu no Mi Shadow Fist, launching it back, creating rifts in space, which he brings back with his hand and launches at them. Blackbeard is shocked how he's doing this and uses his Quake Fruit to create a shockwave in air, which barely manages to block Luffy's attack by sending multiple shockwaves. If it wasn't for that, Blackbeard would probably be dead. Unfortunately, Luffy didn't have the time to enhance his strength with Rio, because Blackbeard made multiple bows out of darkness and shooted them at Luffy. Luffy, seeing this, uses a technique that he learned from Katsuo during the 3 months. Energy Asura. Suddenly, 6 arms, like 3 arms on each side, left and right, on his back, made from energy, aren't connected to his body by the way. Come onto his back. By manipulating his haki, he can create these arms. Katsuo called it manifestation haki. Of course, manifestation haki has its limits since it's not just imagination to reality. The person has to actually know how it will work if they want to use their haki to make it. So this is definitely a hard form of haki to learn, but at least it is learnable, unlike the other 3. Anyways, after doing this, he uses Gomu Gomu no Mi, Ultima Cannon, and suddenly he doesn't shoot his hands back, but puts them in a manner like putting them both in front of his, body and straightly, and suddenly his 6 other hands do the same thing, releasing haki, which form into hands, splitting into multiple places, and all aiming at Admiral Kainu. However, it's too late. Admiral Kainu has already used his devil fruit to create a giant blade made out of magma and light. Luffy is actually smarter in the series and knows that Admiral Akainu and Kizaru's devil fruits combined can be really difficult to deal with, and he's probably more dangerous than Blackbeard even. However, it's too late. He slices through all of the haki attacks. And then Akainu and Kizaru create even more blades for all of the Marines that they have to use. One of the Marines, who just happens to be a swordsman, uses one of his techniques. Rising slash bludge! Jumping at Katsuo, who's in the air. Katsuo, of course, manages to react by activating his Amamantaki and punching at the Marine, sending him back to his boat and creating some massive damage to it. After that, he uses Runol Taekwondo, mastered Elemental Fusion Kick, Dark Form. Suddenly, his leg is infused with darkness. Blackbeard is confused. How does he have the power to control darkness? And Kizaru is too. What the heck is up with this kid's power? Suddenly, when he kicks it down, a massive dark energy blast is summoned as a ray, having the sea in the area. He then focuses all of that energy to his hands, creating a massive explosion encasing everyone in the area. No one knowing what to do, Fujitora then uses his devil fruit to lift up the explosion's aftermath, the smoke. However, Katsuo is already trying to punch Kizaru. Kizaru didn't activate his observation haki, and because Katsuo was moving at such high speeds, you couldn't even notice. And the punch connected. Thankfully, to Kizaru, it didn't have any haki on it, but it sent him flying into the sky. However, Kizaru knows that this is a perfect moment to test out his new move. Starlight. Bringer light. Starlight. Bringer. Suddenly, a giant star You know, the thing that's put on papers for classes and stuff. You get that idea. It's formed in the sky made out of light and rains down light stars, which explode. They're hitting everyone except for the Marines. And Blackbeard, along with his sniper, managed to escape. Blackbeard creating a barrier made out of darkness, and the sniper teleporting them out with his devil fruit. Also, I don't actually remember their names, so if you want an explicit comprehension other than Blackbeard, I'm gonna have to watch a video. Anyways, the Marines, now only attacking the Straw Hats, are wondering, do you have to be finished after this attack? However, everyone that's above the Vice Admirals and all of the Vice Admirals know that Katsuo and the Straw Hats are most likely going to survive this attack, which are proven right when Katsuo uses his Renewal Taekwondo Support Master Supreme Dragon Reverse! Suddenly, all of the light stars are directed towards his leg as it absorbs all of the light energy. And using it with his own light elemental control, he launches it back at the Marines, destroying multiple ships in its way. Aimed at Fujitora, Fujitora barely manages to block with his blade, not being able to activate his observation in time. Fujitora then thinks that having eyes are still good, but the heinous crime that he saw, he will still never forget. And he's even thinking about taking away his eyes again. However, he does think that it is good to be able to see again, so he is thankful. However, his sword is cut in half. Kizaru knows that even that attack wouldn't be able to break Fujitora's sword. It's made out of super strong and rare materials, meaning he probably added way more power than was originally added to the technique before it was absorbed. What the heck is this kid's technique? However, Luffy immediately shouts to the Straw Hats that they need to leave immediately. And Chopper, activating his awakened devil fruit, not needing to eat those black orbs to turn into his monster state. I forgot what they were called, okay? He turns into his newest form, Raigen Glider. It practically took all of his forms away and replaced them. Okay? After flying up into the air, he uses his energy beam attack. Yes, now he has energy beam attacks. Made from hockey, of course. Yeah, now even Chopper knows Conqueror's hockey. Bro put it into a beam attack. You actually thought I was giving him Conquerors? No. What the heck was it called again? Okay, now we're just gonna call Creation Hockey because I can't remember its name. Yeah, Creation Hockey. It's called Creation. Oh. But of course it has its words. Yeah. But anyways, after just barely managing to escape with that hockey attack and a few hockey bullets, allowing them to be distracted enough so that the Straw Hats could escape, Chopper of course goes back, with the Admirals finally realizing they escaped with probably the worst criminal in the world on their side. And after seeing the techniques Katsuo used, of course, they put the training for Marines way up, and the standards to get in were increased. Any weak Marine that was already on the Marine side had to train multiple times harder. And if they slacked off, their reminder was, do you want to die by Jin Katsuo's hand? If not, train harder! And a lot more people in the Marines, due to this effort, actually got devil fruits. And a few hours after this, Jinbei actually walks up to Katsuo and asks what his technique is called. Katsuo replies with this technique is called Renewal Taekwondo. However, Jinbei thinks that it's different, since the last time he saw him really and physically was at Marineford, and it looked way different. So he tells him that it's the evolved version, the second stage, mastered. Renewal Taekwondo was always about supernatural abilities because of its creator, who was a god, but we'll get back to that later. Jin Taijin almost managed to get to its origin form. However, it could only stop at master because he died. Jin Mori is still at the normal, usual Renewal Taekwondo technique. So currently, Katsuo is the strongest user of the technique. Skipping to this point, Jinbei asks him if he can learn the technique. However, unfortunately, Katsuo replies with unfortunately, unless you have the exact needed requirements, you probably won't even be able to get out of the beginner stage. Okay, Jin Mori obviously has the requirements, just doesn't know how to. Probably because he doesn't know how to use its supernatural abilities. That's the only requirement he needs, and really, the godlike information will just be sent into its head, and all of his previous abilities will be evolved into the new ones. You can still use the previous abilities, however, instead of it being normal, it will do backlash damage. I know, I'm just forcing them to do the one on their current stage, but we aren't going to talk about that. Okay. However, Katsuo can teach Jinbei a special technique that's related to its already technique. After that, Jinbei asks what it is, and he says it's called the Hydro Demon Rod technique. After that, a month passes. Jinbei has learned the Hydro Demon Rod technique and is practicing with Luffy right now. Hydro Demon technique. First stance. Demonic water release. Suddenly, water appearing out of his hands from nowhere, with a red aura surrounding it, are launched at Luffy. Luffy barely manages to dodge, however, it shoots straight through the wall that they're fighting in, which is actually the domain that Luffy made. Currently, they're at an old Coliseum. The Marines will never find this place. After that, he uses Hydro Demon Lord Stance 2. Supreme Demonic Pulse. Suddenly, everything turned into water that was around Jinbei. Spreading and spreading until everything was still in its original form, but it looked like it was still water, with Luffy sinking into the floor because of this technique. This technique is supposed to be used for suffocation, so of course Jinbei tries to kick him out, which of course works. After that, he tries his third stance, which will be the last one you'll be seeing for, I don't know, this time. Hydro Demon Lord technique. Third stance. Moonlit rise. Suddenly, a moon, a crimson moon, made out of water with a red aura, appears in the sky, which almost overclasses Luffy's own domain. Luffy is surprised. After all, he's in his Gear Emperor 5 form, which is one of the strongest forms in One Piece, especially because of its domain ability. But he almost just outclassed it. The secrets behind the Hydro Demon War technique are really just because it was made by a god. Any technique that was made by a demigod or a god is bound to have supernatural abilities put into it, and they're normally put into 3 grades, rarely 4. Beginner, Master, Origin, and for the rare 4th one, Deity. So the only reason it can spout water out of nowhere without taking it from some source is because it was made by a god. So of course it has supernatural power. Oh, and don't ask how he got this technique. He's probably never even gonna use it anyways. After that, Jinbei and Luffy go back to the ship out of the Coliseum, and Katsuo tells them that he's planning to go away for a while, since the story can continue without him. He's planning on going away for 2 months before coming back. And after that, they all say goodbye to him after he packs his bag and practically jumps to a random direction. After finding an island, he thinks that he might be outclassed by people getting domains. And of course, he wants to join in. So he decides to go to the world of Jujutsu Kaisen. After saying it out loud, a rift in space appeared. And after going into it, Jujutsu Kaisen it is. However, right in front of him is Sukuna. In someone you know's body. I'm not gonna be naming him, since right after Sukuna appears, he just flintlocks him. Not even using any form or power. It's just his physical abilities alone. Sukuna, being shocked, immediately jumps back, asking what his name is. Katsuo says his name is Jin Katsuo. After that, Sukuna launches one of his abilities at him, Blood Dust. However, it does nothing. Jin Katsuo is immune to most aura-related abilities, so he's fine. After that, Jin Katsuo uses Renewal Taekwondo, Aura type, mastered. Supreme Divinity. A subside to Nirvana. Suddenly, a white aura encases his body and spreads around the whole entire city, knocking all of the curses out, except for Sukuna, who still takes immeasurable damage. He says he got 2 new forms of Renewal Taekwondo, Aura type and Defense type. Okay, Defense type, it's meant for defense. What else would you need? Aura type, it's practically anything that's related to a form of aura. So, yes, his conquerors would be part of his aura type. Although it isn't really connected to Renewal Taekwondo, so it technically wouldn't be there. After seeing Katsuo's immeasurable power, Gojo, who appears right behind Sukuna, punches him away, and immediately asks Katsuo if he wants to become a Jujutsu sorcerer. And Katsuo, after thinking a little bit, only accepts if he teaches him a domain. After that, Gojo teaches him the basics. Just feel all of the cursed power and anti-cursed power in your body. However, Kazuo, being a fast learner, not even needing the whole entire explanation before he summons his own domain, and decides to call it Journey to the West. Yes, I know, it's named after a series, but we're just gonna call it that, okay? Anyways, after that, Sukuna jumps back using his ability Bloodlust again, not affecting Katsuo, but sure does affect Gojo, who's still surprised knowing that Katsuo summoned his domain so quickly. Katsuo, not being affected by the aura, uses Renewal Taekwondo, Aura, Mastered, Supreme Divinity, Nirvana Subside. Gojo, not being surrounded by the aura for some reason, isn't affected by it. However, Sukuna sure is. Supreme Divinity is a technique that's meant to harm only evil. And since Gojo isn't necessarily evil, it would only attack things like curses or evil beings. So it's really just an aura. And it's aiming at Sukuna the most because the user is aiming the power at it, and because Sukuna is one of the most evil people in the series, and if not, is the most evil. And after that, Jin Mori deals the finishing blow, kicking Sukuna's head off. However, Sukuna isn't finished, as his body is still moving, releasing a cursed aura before it jumps to get its head back. Sukuna, with his regeneration abilities, of course gets it back. If he did try to regen his head, all of the sound waves in his brain, that are practically all of his memories, would be gone, and he could be tricked by the Jujutsu Sorcerer Society. So Sukuna is decently smart by regenerating his original head. After that, Sukuna uses an intensified version of Bloodlust called Killing Intent. Katsuo is somewhat affected. He isn't really getting shivers, but to him it just feels like countless tickles. Before he activates Supreme Divinity again, ultimately overpowering the aura with ease, finally getting rid of the tickles that he was going through. I mean, having Supreme Divinity, clearly, my guy ultimately has no effect by evil and nature abilities. After that, he uses Renewal Taekwondo, Deity Mastered. Yes, Deity section. Anti-regeneration combustion. After launching himself into the air, he puts his foot right in front of Sukuna's face. And suddenly, a green flame, meant to purify evil and cancel out regeneration, was bursting out of Katsuo's foot. Burning Sukuna's face. And Sukuna can't regenerate it. Thankfully, it didn't rip through any of his skin. It only burned him. He did manage to take some of the damage on his arms, though. However, he knows that if it was in his face for any longer, he probably would have been dead. Especially since he can't just regenerate it. He was very lucky that it didn't get to his skin. However, Katsuo, just not caring that he already shot a very powerful attack at Sukuna, launches it again. Renewal Taekwondo. Deity Mastered. Anti-regeneration kick. I know I probably said it another way the first time, but we're just going to call it anti-regeneration kick. Instead doing it to his arm, but this time he's successful, putting a bit more power into it, creating a tsunami of that same fire, which somehow only hurts Sukuna's left arm. However, his left arm is no more. It was ripped off. He tries to regenerate it, but as it was affected by the flames, he can't. He can't regenerate that part anymore. Being distracted, Katsuo takes this chance to use Renewal Taekwondo, Aura Form. Mastered. Venomous gas. Suddenly, an aura that takes the form of a purple mist surrounded the surroundings, including Sukuna, who was affected by a poisonous effect. He should be immune to poison since he's the king of all curses. However, somehow he's being affected by this? After that, Katsuo just lets Gojo and Sukuna continue their fight after doing massive damage to Sukuna, teleporting out, saying that he wants to go to somewhere called Dragon Ball. Right after the rift in space appears, he jumps through. Sukuna trying to chase after him, however, he can't make it in time. Sukuna then accepts the fact that he's probably going to die to Gojo, but still tries, as other Jujutsu sorcerers come by. And suddenly, Katsuo is in the middle of a fight between Goku and Jiren. Goku using Ultra Instinct and Jiren being in his strongest version yet, or strongest form yet. And Katsuo was in the middle of both of their punches. Using his observation, he easily dodges both of the attacks, which are really just punches, sending massive shockwaves. Yami, and then we go to Yami's POV. Yami then realizing that he teleported to Dragon Ball Z in the Tournament of Power is worried since the Xenos might ruin his fun with Katsuo. Goku, just recognizing him as a new opponent, then attacks Katsuo. And Katsuo, realizing that he's in Ultra Instinct, doesn't try to fight back but only tries to escape. However, Zeno making a barrier around the field, saying that he can't escape. And if you want your original universe to be not destroyed, you gotta at least survive the battle. And by this he means MHA, which was his original universe. Not wanting this to happen and thinking that it was probably going to be the next universe he was going to return to, he then says that's not going to happen and thinks, might as well destroy that Jiren bastard. Activating his Buddha Wukong form. His binding expands beyond his head. The front of it, crimson red. The back, black. Pure black, with his hair growing all the way to his thighs, and at the middle of it, the top of it being crimson red, but at the middle it turns pure black. He's releasing such a menacing aura, and for half a second, Jiren saw all of his life flash before him. As a kick, thousands of punches. A kick to his stomach. A kick to the side of his head. A kick that made him fall down. Thousands more punches to all of the areas on his body. And the last one was enhanced with ki. Jiren had multiple holes on his body. More specifically, the most biggest one being on his chest, since that's where the final attack, being imbued with ki, landed on. Jiren laid down, dead. You are allowed to kill your opponents in the Tournament of Power, so no one is necessarily worried, but everyone is looking at this new opponent, Jin Katsuo, who turns into his normal form. Jin Katsuo, having trained with this Buddha Wukong form for a month, 4 months in total, can last in this form for 10 seconds, and he can use it 2 times a day. And now when he uses it, not all of his energy depletes, only half of it. And he still has 5 seconds left. Taking this chance, he immediately kicks at the barrier, destroying it quite easily, and jumps out in milliseconds. The timer was gone, and suddenly he's thrown to the seats where the people are watching are. The god of destruction, Beerus, uses his telekinesis ability to catch him and weigh him down, explaining that the Tournament of Power is a tournament to people who want to save their universe by fighting. And the person that he just killed name was Jiren. And the person who was trying to fight Jiren, his name was called Goku. However, Beerus does ask a question. Where did you come from? Katsuo replies with accidentally activated a special ability, teleporting me here. Beerus is wondering if he used any form of ki, like God ki, and senses that normal ki is all over him, sensing that the last punch was probably due to that. After that, Beerus tries to see any form of God ki, and does manage to see some. He also sees some hints of Saiyan blood. Okay, next episode we're going to be talking about Katsuo's Saiyan blood, and will he be getting Super Saiyan forms? Watch out next time.